Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Captain Killen, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of match analysis of Kuzonoko from the Revo Japan and Korea finals. So this is top 8. He only got to play one match in top 8, but I thought it was really interesting. His style is very, very different from a lot of the Western Jack-0s that I see, and personally how I also play the character. So I thought it'd be interesting to do some analysis and look at some of the things that he's doing differently, some of the things that I feel like other Jack-0s can really learn from, but also some of the things that he's definitely not doing. There's definitely some clear gaps there that I think definitely cost him in this match. So let's get into it. So the very first thing to point out, I know it's very early, but is right here. It's this minion set 2P. He does this a lot, especially early on in this set. And you can see here, so it catches Denpa dashing in, and this is what it's really good for, is it covers the ground really well. It covers a lot of space, it's very fast, and you're gonna see Kuzonoko really basing a lot of his neutral on this, honestly, which is something like I don't see other Jack-0s doing this basically ever. So I think it's really interesting to see, how it sort of turns out and what kind of options it's beating. So you're gonna see here, this is like another thing. So I was saying that he does it a lot, but if you look, he already has a minion covering the center of the screen, so he feels like that area is sort of locked down. It's a big commitment for Geo to try to dash in and kill the minion, right? That could easily get her hit. And dashing through the minion is like obviously extremely dangerous. So now that there's a minion out in center screen, which is what the 2P obviously accomplishes, he feels like, okay, now I cover the air, stop her from air dashing at me. Which is very interesting. It's like, a lot of people call Jack-0 a zoner, and I don't really think she's a zoner. She's more of a setup character, and you can kind of see that here. It's like, okay, he's set up on the bottom of the screen. He feels good there. So now he can cover the top of the screen, get more minions out, control more space. Alright, so here he's going to go for 2P again, and this time it catches just sort of like a Hail Mary attempt to come in. 236k, I mean, it's pretty good, right? Like, it can just blow past a lot of stuff, but minions don't count as projectiles, so, it just blows that up. Seems like a little bit of matchup infamiliarity, like, maybe he saw the set and was hoping to, like, snipe him from doing something more committal, but that's why the 2P is so good, right? It's really fast, it recovers fast, the minion comes out really fast. Like, if he had done minion kick there, for example, I think there's a pretty good chance that he would have just got hit, so. Right? Okay, and that's another thing that I want to point out. Another thing that it's really good for, so we're going to see it right here. So he does it again, and it covers a lot of space, but it doesn't travel insanely far, and it's very low to the ground. And the reason why that's good is you see Denpa here trying to anti-air the minion like you would if it's hit by any other attack, or especially if the minion gets thrown, and it just misses. So he can't actually whiff punish here because that was the second hit on the minion, so it's just going to disappear. But if that was the first hit on the minion, like he's been doing a lot with the 2P, then he could just get a whiff punish here with 236k, get another minion out, that buys a lot of time. So that's another thing it's really good for, is the angle's pretty shallow, and it's pretty hard to poke out, actually. Combination of it not going all the way to your opponent, and also being pretty low to the ground, means a lot of the things you would traditionally use to anti-air minions just doesn't really work. And that's yet another thing. I mean, so I know I'm talking a lot about this, like, 2P the minion, but it's just something that's, to me, at least from what I've watched, very unique to Kuzonoko's Jack-0. I don't see other Jack-0s doing this. Maybe they do, and I just haven't seen it. I don't do it. The only times I used to do it, which I've more gotten away from, is against really low-profile moves like Soul Vortex. It's really good, because it, brings the minion low to the ground. But this is another thing, right, is that he gets to much more safely after doing the 2P Oh, not that one. He gets to much more safely after doing the 2P, control all this space in front of him, even if Denpa wants to, you know, sort of aggress on him with 2D. But it's going to hit the minion, right? So he gets to cancel it and be much safer. But this is something you see a lot of the top Jack-0s doing, and I don't do this, and I'm trying to work it more into my game because it's very important, is basically stealing turns back with minion set, right? So here what you saw him do was, I think it was like far slash? Yeah, far slash into minion set. Now this is like super minus, like the gap here is like insane into 2k, right? Like, but if your opponent, you know, if they're not ready for it, then you basically just stolen your turn back. Like you see Adventure do this all the time. You see, you know, basically all the other top Jack-0s that are doing well in tournaments, they're all doing this. Kuzonoko does it. So if you're not doing this, you're probably being a bit overly respectful. But if your opponent is always mashing, then, you know, you need to learn good frame traps and stop them from doing that. But once you've done that, then now you can start stealing your minion sets once they're scared of you. Alright, so remember this. This is Hail Mary 2D with no minion. He did have meter, so that's good. But yeah, very dangerous against Giovanna in particular, because she will just hit 2D from across the screen. Like, she'll do it, and it's much better than you doing 2D from across the screen, so that is a very dangerous thing to be doing. So we see this a few times in this set. Is this like offense cancel into shield? I don't understand this. I think it's bad. I think that it doesn't really accomplish anything. I don't see why you wouldn't just do minion attack and continue your offense. He's not really pressing out. Kuzonoko doesn't even have meter, so even if it hits, like, he's not really getting anything. Like, he's already in the corner pressuring him, so all, you know, the shield would do is get more pressure. He's kind of trying to use it like a pose, but, like, it's just so much worse than a pose. Like, this is just not... I don't think minion shield should really ever be a part of your offense. Like, it just doesn't do anything. Like, I don't know, I just don't understand. He uses it a few times, it basically never works. Like, sometimes he wins sort of the follow-up situation after, but, like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why you do that. And this time you just get straight up punished for it. So this is also something that's going to come up a few times, and there's one game where he particularly gets punished for it. I think that this is a big matchup mistake that he's making, and it's going to cost him a lot. When you do something, and, you know, so if you whiff a move, or here you put down a minion, and you're like, oh shit, I'm really close to, you know, the enemy character. Backdash is a lot of the times a pretty safe option. Not against Giovanna. When you do that and you're scared, you have to block. You cannot backdash her. Like, you're just not going to backdash away from her moves. Like, you can't. If she does 5k, far slash, 5h, 2d, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Everything's going to hit your backdash and it's going to punish you. So when you get scared against Geo, you have to avoid backdashing. You're just going to get punished every time. So, and here you see that's exactly what happens. He backdashes because he gets a little scared, and he almost dies for it. Alright, no tech on the air throw, and yeah, he kind of steals the first round, honestly. I mean, you know, Denpa had 50, almost 100 meter, and, you know, just gets grabbed twice. Alright, here he gets a little greedy with his minion set. I think, so there's a big difference. This works a lot of the same way of Giovanna pressure, is like, you know, for Giovanna, right, when she's doing the spiral arrow, right, it's pretty hard to defend if she's doing it off just, like, random stuff, like close slash spiral arrow, or, like, close slash 2S spiral arrow, right? But it's really easy to fix 6p on reaction is when she does the full block string, like, into 5H, into spiral arrow, like, because, like, you don't have much to react to but that. Minion sets with Jack-0 are a lot of the same way. Like, when you're just doing, like, randomly in the middle of your block string, doing a minion set, it can be hard to look out for, and that's where you can sort of steal them. But when you do 5H, just regular minion set, like, there's a billion frame gap, and he looks like he tries to 2P and just gets smoked. So this is where it's, like, really dangerous, where it's like, they're blocking 5H, and they have really nothing to do but just sit there and wait for you to do minion set and just hit a big button, right? Very dangerous. So this is something that I don't know, I just found it a little interesting. These are these sort of like weird, unscripted Jack-0 moments where, you know, you really want to be able to play around your minions. So, Denpa, you know, he blocks the overhead, but then he hits the minion on the way down, which JS is really good at doing. And the minion's just gonna it's just gonna be bouncing forward like that. It's covering a ton of space, and so he really uses that to aggress. You could also use that to, you know, set a minion while looking for them to jump over or something, because it's going to be really hard for them to actually like go through the minion. So little things like that, or like knowing when your minion's like covering a lot of space and being able to play off it properly is really important. So Kuzonoko does this sandwich pressure stuff, which is obviously very good. If you don't know, this right here, it's like plus like 11 or something when the minion whiffs and you do a close slash. So this is a true block string. He keeps this whole thing a true block string, which he doesn't really need to do. Like, he's got no burst, he's got no meter of any kind. Like, this is the perfect opportunity to frame trap. You know, maybe you try to mix in a throw, although I don't throw that much with Jack-0. It's not that great, I don't think. It's pretty risky. People are holding up a lot anyways. But you're gonna see, like, when he gets these situations in this set, he's like mostly doing true block strings into lows and not really ever trying to, you know, do 5D, you know, or any sort of mix-up, even do frame traps really. So I found that pretty interesting. I'm not really sure why that is. And then he ends it in 2P, which I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. It just seems like he's playing overly respectful when he doesn't really need to be. Like, he's treating it like a soul, right? Or he's just gonna get like HDP and die, or like a Leo, you know. But it's just a G, you know? You don't have to be that respectful. Yeah, and here again, so it's kind of interesting, right? Because we saw the 2P just straight up beat the spiral arrow like a few times. So you didn't really need to back off, but it's, you know, another one of those things where it's like he's been representing this option, this 2P option. Denpa does something where, even though I don't think this really would have beaten it, you know, he's doing something that's like trying to punish it. But instead, Kuzonoko's just like, alright, well, I'm just gonna not do it, right? And he's just gonna put the minion out, he's gonna back off, and he's gonna whiff punish. Now he's gonna set up the sandwich pressure. Yeah, and so this time he goes into the cheer, which is good. So this is once again very plus. He goes for 2P, which is not the right thing to do. So if you do it properly, you can 5K and it will be a true block string, and that's gonna put the minion in a very good position to keep doing the pressure. The problem with what he did here is that when you 2P and it doesn't hit a minion, and you do 236K, like he does right here, this is not a true block string. There's actually a pretty big gap here. Like, if Giovanna hits 5P, it's gonna, I think it trades with the minion, so there's a pretty decently sized gap there, whereas if you 2P hitting the minion and they block it, and you do 214K, that is a true block string. So that, yeah, this was just not the correct choice, and he basically just lets him get out for free. The minion is just an idiot over here swinging the wrong way, and he just backs off, or backdashes out rather, and starts his offense. Alright, so we see again double minion set into 2P, just really locking down the ground with caution, honestly. But I think Denpa needs to be doing more 2D. 2D is really strong in this matchup. It kills minions from like forever away with the disjointed hitbox that's like really hard to mess with. So, you know, you can do cancel options off of it and stuff, so that seems to be like the key thing that he's really missing. And you see now, like, so now, Denpa wasn't really jumping too much before against these minions. He was sort of trying to get it on the ground and really, like, bashing his head against the 2P minions. But now, as soon as he's like, Kuzonoko's like, alright, looks like he's kind of starting to jump, he starts doing the grab the minion, air dash back, throw, which, you know, is obviously really good at covering the air. And same thing with the JD, right? Very good at covering the air. So this is like kind of a wild and crazy thing. It looks really weird. So it looks like he kind of messes it up though, because like you don't really want to do this as a true block string, but it looks like I think he did it too fast. So if you do this as fast as possible, this 5k into TK minion attack, if you do it as fast as possible, it is a true block string. But, you know, it's pretty easy to manually delay it and make it a frame trap, at least in my opinion. There's a lot of manual delays that are, like, really hard, usually ones that involve trying to play around throw. But since you're going in the air, you have actually quite a bit of leeway, so you do really want to be making this a frame trap. That's sort of the primary advantage of it, because it is pretty hard to frame trap off 5k just in general. And then when you do this falling JH, like, you can 6p this, but if you try to do basically anything else, you're just going to counter hit, so it's a little bit of a knowledge check probably, but like it's such a rare thing to come up, you probably wouldn't know what to do. I mean, you're just scared of the minion like bouncing around and stuff, so. And you're gonna see this a lot. So people jump out against Jack-0. Like when you play against Jack-0, like you're holding up, right? Because the punishment isn't that bad if you're wrong, and if you're right, like you just get out. Her frame trap options are in general pretty weak, especially without minions. And this is why you gotta be really careful. He's done maybe like 4 or 5 JDs in the set so far, and they've all been like pretty good. They've covered the space where Denpa really wanted to go, but this one was, I don't know, maybe a little too obvious, and it doesn't really accomplish much. Like, look how far away he is, right? This is like a good opportunity to like do either minion hold or minion set and just sort of react. Maybe not, well, minion hold, you just do like minion hold jump JS or something, but you know, you've created this space, right? And you kind of want to use it to get a minion up. Doing JD here doesn't really do much. It doesn't accomplish anything, right? JD, when you have no minions up, is generally like you're kind of wasting your time, right? You're putting yourself in a dangerous position for like essentially no reward. Whereas if you have minions out, it can do a good job of covering the space that the minions are not currently covering. But doing it when there's nothing going on is really dangerous, right? Especially against a character like Ju, who's really fast, and it's just gonna go straight past it and kill you straight up for attempting to do it. Yeah, and there we see it again, you know, so he ended the round with it last time. This time, he's done this round start once or twice already. It's like an okay round start, but yeah, it is pretty rare. The risk reward's not good. I have no idea what Denpa was trying to do there, that you'd get straight up grabbed out of your offense, but that's where we are. I mean, Kuzonoko was almost certainly just trying to attack a throw. Here he goes for, you know, this Oki is very strong. I actually have a video on my channel about optimizing it to be a little bit better. He goes for the overhead first try. I usually just go for the low first try because it's safe. He generally leads into a better situation on hit, or at least an easier situation to capitalize on hit. It's like really the first mixed throw he's going for. People just don't do this anymore because, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of bad. Like, the rewards are just not good, right? The like cross ups. This is, I have no idea what side that hit on. It's definitely a mix up. Same side cross up. I don't know. I would assume it's same side because usually you want to do the mini attack to stay same side because you can just do like a JH or something to cross up, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't really get him anything, it's just like a slight hit. Yeah, and once again, this is exactly what I was talking about before, right? So he does the greedy minion set, but then he does backdash, right? And Gio's just like, alright, whatever, like, because, you know, the risk reward between him hitting like 5H and hitting, you know, 2P or something, if you're gonna, you know, do like a more tight block string, is like, it's pretty much the same, right? So he's like, well, if you're gonna be passive afterwards, like, yeah, sure, I'll just swing for the fences with a huge button. Alright, so once again, he does the minion shield, and it accomplishes just literally nothing, right? He's not doing any of like the good Jack-0 corner pressure that she has, you know, with like the kick loops. Which I'll probably make a video on that because it is just really important to the character, in my opinion, and it's what a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, it's what Not Pichu is doing. You know, a lot of the people that are in the Jack-0 Discord are adopting it because it's just really strong. But yeah, this minion shield just, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't accomplish anything. It's just, I don't know. It just seems bad. Right, and look, he just does delay. He just does delay 5 feet, and the shield doesn't even do anything. Like, it doesn't last long enough, right? He just 5 feet out anyways, kills the minion. But this is something that's very important. It's important on defense in a lot of matches. Not so much this matchup, but like Milia Chip is being able to react to these air dashes and jump air throw. It is by far the best option. He does sort of mess it up and accidentally throws him out of the corner, but I mean, you know, it's fine. Like, I'm definitely not a Jack-0 complainer, because, like, you know, she shouldn't do a lot of damage with that when she doesn't have a minion out. But like, man, look at this. Look how little health he had, and he still did not die. Yeah, so this is just like, I don't know, I feel like you kind of just have to FD here. Like, risking your entire life for basically no reward on the fact that he's not going to do 2 minion commands in a row is like, I don't know about all that, dude. This is another good thing. In his pressure, he's still watching, right? We've seen a lot of Denpa, like, jump out air dash has been pretty common. Right, so there we go, he hears with air throw again. And then here's another thing where it's like his pressure is just not, it's just not even, I don't know how to, it's just not close up to the standards of like other Jack-0s that we're seeing who are like really pushing the character. Like, he has 3 minions out and he's almost built a minion super, and what does he do? He does like close slash in a bunch of 2Ps? Like, what? Like, I can understand, you know, maybe you don't want to spend meter on minion super when your opponent has burst, right? You're gonna super, they're just gonna burst. I think that's a fine trade. I would gladly trade 50 meter for a burst. But you know, I think there's an argument to be made there. But like, look how much minion gauge he still has left, right? Like, he just didn't do anything, and there was no threat. Like, the only threat was like, oh, a burst comes out, right? But I don't know. Doesn't seem that bad. And also, like, something that I've been trying to experiment with lately, right? So normally, you know, you get your opponent in the corner, you do your pressure, and you know, you're gonna do H super, or you know, just like long block strings, all the chip. But since he has burst here, right? If you did like a smaller string into S super and he bursts, your minions are still gonna all be on top of him, assuming you get hit by it also. And there's a chance that you'd like trick with the burst and stuff. But I mean, that can be really strong because he had a bunch of minions out, right? So that's just something to consider. Like, when you have a bunch of minions out, it can be worth it to super just to like keep them around. Like, it's very strong. So this was like a break from the sort of the normal stuff he's doing, right? He does minion hold jump, and look, he's just dashing at him on the ground, right? Like, that's why he's doing a lot of the 2v1, is that, I mean, this minion throw didn't do anything. Like, right now he's in like a shitty situation. He's scared. Like, there's a Geo right next to him. And he does backdash again, which, again, I think is bad. If Geo had just done like dash 5H, he probably would have got smoked, but alright, that's unfortunate, missing in here. I think this was kind of a little bit of matchup like mistake, right? Geo 5H's the minion, but doesn't actually cancel it into anything, and just gets whiff punished. You know, she could have done probably like Sepultura, DP, right? I don't think you can jump cancel 5H, so it would be kind of ridiculous, but yeah, she just has, like, usually when you hit the minion, you want to be canceling it, something. Okay, so he gets, it feels like he was losing the Sepultura sort of mix-up, like, a lot. So I want to see what actually he did. Because this one is really close, right? This is like a really close range one. I have no idea what he did. But she does 2k. I'm actually gonna look up right now. I don't know how fast her 2k is off the top of my head. So let's look. Her 2k is 6 frames. Well, that must be nice. So Sepultura's -4, so that's a 10 frame gap. So the way I see it, there's basically 2 main options to do after you block Sepultura. There's 2 main options after you block Sepultura. The first one is to 2k. So 2k will beat her if it's gonna straight up just punish the startup if she does Sepultura into DP. It will also punish her for doing any mashed option, just like hitting buttons afterwards, right? So if she does 5p, it's gonna lose. Everything else is slower than that. It doesn't do anything against backdash, but backdash isn't gonna punish you either, right? So backdash is just gonna get away for free, you're fine. It's not great, but you know, that's what it is. The other option that I think is quite good is to do 5H. So when the Sepultura is close range like this, 5H will just straight up counter hit the DP, and you get, you know, a big punish. Well, big reject. It will also hit backdash, although, you know, you just get really a small punish. You just hit with like one thing of 5H, you get to do a minion summon, you know, maybe get a little bit of Oki. So that's pretty decent. It will lose to mashed buttons, but only some of them. Only like the really fast ones, like the jabs. And those are generally pretty low reward. So those are basically the 2 main options I would go for. The 5H will trade with the DP if the Sepultura is like more spaced, if it's further away. So, you know, there are pluses and minuses. Our options are not excellent after Sepultura, but those are like the 2 best ones in my opinion, at least from what I've seen. If you have better stuff, feel free to let me know in the comments. I would love to have better answers to it. Yeah, so I have no idea what he tried to do where he got 2k'd. Both of those options I think beat 2k. Maybe 5H trades with 2k. It's like 10 there's a 10 frame gap. And it, you know, starts up in 10 frames, so I'm not really sure. I haven't labbed it, but alright, right. Yep, so there he does 2k. I don't know what Geo did. I looked like he did a 2k again, like last time maybe. He was crouching down, but yeah. Get hit by the 2k. Alright, so here he does like, he backs up and meaties with minion attacks, so it's very safe. He's very scared of super because he has 50 meter, so he keeps his offense very safe, like the last time, except now it makes a little bit more sense. So this is pretty interesting. For those of you that don't know, when you do 2p that hits a minion and the opponent blocks it, this is +9. So doing this into close slash, this is actually a true block string. This is all a true block string. One thing that's really good, I think he wouldn't want to do it here because he is he's just scared of getting supered, right? It's pretty obvious by the way he's playing. Super will just straight up kill him. But you can do 2p that hits the minion and they block it into 5H is a 1 frame trap, so it beats throws. It beats everything that's not invincible. That's a good thing to know. I think it's a very good thing. Alright, so there he disrespects a little bit. It's like fine, I guess. It just doesn't get you anything, right? And now you're just like you don't have a minion out and he's blocking you and he's got meter and it's just like, I don't know. That seems greedy. Like this is just not a situation I really want to find myself in. You know, now he's gonna burn another 50 bar to stay in, but like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like backing off probably would have been a little bit better. This was unfortunate. I remember watching this and I was like, oh my god, he's gonna lose right now because of this. I mean, Geo was just dead, right? Because this wall bounces, he gets the minion out. I mean, you can do 5k, you can do far slash, you can do minion attack will probably even hit, 5H. Like, you just have a billion options to kill Geo here. and he just does none of them. And he does the friggin' shield again. And it's like, come on, bro, what are you doing? But, you know, he just gets another air throw because he's Kuzonoko, and he wins that. Right? Okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about before. I think this is the round that I mentioned where it, like, happens a bunch. So he tries to do 2K 2D, but he's too far away, so he backdashes out of the 2D. And now Kazunoko's like, oh shit, my 2D whiffed, right? I gotta get out of here. But you can't backdash against Geo. All of her moves will hit your backdash. Like, you just can't do it. Right? If he had just blocked here, like, yeah, you don't want to block a Force Slash, but like, it's not that bad, especially mid-screen. But now you're gonna, you know, eat a little bit of damage, and he's gonna put you straight into the corner, and now you're just in a much worse situation. And yeah, and then he does it again. This time he does, what was it, 236k into minion set. This is why you usually want to be doing the minion hold and like doing some sort of jump versus run away versus, you know, you have just a lot more mix-up options. When you do the minion set, like, you just don't have a lot of options, right? They can basically do whatever they want and they're gonna smoke you, so you kind of just have to hold it. Like here, you just have to block. But he tries to do backdash again and he gets hit by Far Slash. You don't want to backdash against Geo unless you're in the corner, basically. It's just not good. All of her moves are gonna hit. So one thing to note that I haven't really pointed out, but he's doing a very good job in pressure of calling out Denpa for like going for unsafe opportunities to like take his turn back. Because, you know, a lot of people's strategy against Jack-0 is just to be very disrespectful because, which is, you know, a good strategy because your defense is like pretty bad. So, you know, he's not going to be like ending a lot of block strength necessarily and like 5H into, you know, some sort of special. Because, you know, it's easier just to end your block strings earlier and, you know, try to re-pressure Jack-0 and really take advantage of a board defense, but Kazunoko's, you know, he's doing a good job of calling that out and not letting him take his turn back. This is something I find really annoying, personally. I don't know if this is a Geo thing, but like, when you do this cross-up jump H, it just seems so inconsistent. Like, sometimes you get the one hit, sometimes you get a hit that hits the minion also, and then that like screws up your timing. Sometimes you just get like 2 clean hits, doesn't hit the minion. And it like really messes with the timer you want to do your 2K, so that's what it looks like happened here. He thought he was going to get 2 hits of the 2H, tried to 2K for that timing, but then the 2K came out late because he only got 1 hit, you know. I just find it super annoying. Yeah, and this is so, you know, we talked about earlier doing the 2P and then the 2D like also hits the minion, but against Geo, it's just so safe to 2D the minion here that like doing your own 2D, like, it just doesn't feel good. I don't like that at all. Yeah, and then here he got checkmated. He tried to, yeah, he tried to whiff. Yeah, I mean that's just unfortunate, right? He tried to whiff punish the DP, but he was too late. 2K into 2D, just sort of autopilot, and then yeah, as soon as that happens, Kuzonoko doesn't have any meter, so you are essentially just checkmated. I don't think you'd recover in time if you just did 2D, no block. In fact, you definitely wouldn't, so you wouldn't even have an opportunity to burst. So yeah, super. Kazunoko's just dead. There was nothing you could have done there. After the 2D is blocked, like and the round's just over. Yep, and here he does a round start backdash into like something, like minion set or something, and just gets completely smoked. I don't know what he was trying, maybe 2K, I don't know. But so that's kind of an interesting matchup thing. So normally you don't want to burst these giant, you know, explosion counter hit ones, the heavy counter hits. But it's fine to do against Geo Far Slash because it's multiple hits, so she can't actually bait your burst. Burst is just like straight up guaranteed, which is nice. Yeah, so here you're seeing the adaptation from Denpa, right? Is that, you know, Kazunoko's still doing these minion set 2Ps, and now he's just 2D'ing from like extremely far away and anti-airing them. Right, except for that time where he just decides to try to barrel in through them again for absolutely no reason. I mean, it's called the Kuzonoko safe jump for a reason. Most people don't do it, But here he is doing the safe jump, and he gets rewarded for it. So I actually like this. This is like the style of pressure thing that I would do, where you hit him into the corner, you let him bounce off the wall, and then you throw the minion into the wall so the minion meaties them. That's really good. But then he does 2H into minion cancel. I don't like this nearly as much. I like doing the 236k minion, 236k hitting the minion into the cancel to super. I just find it to be a little bit more consistent. I think this one's like pretty hard to do, and I think is slightly less plus. If you're like a little bit far away from the opponent and you do the minion kick cancel, you can true block string into 2k and go into your pressure from there. Here what you're gonna see is he tries to do 2k and he just gets backdashed. So when you do the 2H into the super, you can make it a true block string with 2p, I believe, but that's pretty hard, honestly. But yeah, this is really the only time we've seen him try to go for the super stuff in the corner, and he just gets out immediately. It looks like he tries to air throw him again, but messes it up, which is unfortunate. And now you're seeing the matchup, right? This is the Geo matchup we all know and love from Tower. Is 2D, 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 right? You try to jump deep. It's like, yeah, we've all been there. Yup, once again, like we talked about, stealing, it's fine to do minion sets in the middle of pressure to try to catch your opponent sleeping, but doing them sort of at the end is just too easy to interrupt. Nice air throw again. And here, so this is really not good, right? This is him being overly respected, because one of Jack-0's major strengths is that she has safe Oki that she can do in the corner, right? So here you're going to see he's going to do the minion set. So if you're going to do this, what you should be doing is doing close slash. The minion's going to bounce off the wall, and it's going to meaty them. Now, when the reversals you're scared of are wake up supers, especially like a Geo one, like Faust ones are kind of hard because it's really slow. The Geo one, it's really easy to react. Like, they block, you do a block string. They don't block, you're just going to see a big super flash, and then you punish them. Alternatively, we saw him do the, jump, throw the minion into the wall, the minion bounces off the wall, that Oki. If you go for the low option, that's actually a safe jump. So, here he should have absolutely done one of those two things, because they lead into actual pressure. Here he just sort of, tried to hard bait the wake up super, and do, delayed throw, which I think's pretty bad. I don't know why you would really go for that, so, and Denpa just, gets out for free. And now you're in the corner, even though you somehow hit him. Alright. I guess I'll let it play out. So here's another mistake, in my opinion. This one, I guess this one's a little bit subjective, so you have two options here, right? So she has 100 meters, she's just gonna do wake up super. Kuzonoko also has 100 meter. So what he can do is during this flash, he can buffer super, and it is going to punish Denpa's super without Denpa being able to RC. Some supers this does not work against when there is a minion nearby, so if we look real quick. So there's a minion right in front of her when she does the super, so she's going to hit the minion. So if this was like Ram, for example, you cannot do this because it will, hitting the minion will extend the invincibility frames of the super, for some reason. And you will not be able to punish it, but Geo's is not one of those. So you can buffer super here during the super flash and punish Geo's super without her being able to RC. You also have a minion behind her, which means that after you do the super, you'll be able to get a little bit of extra damage with OTG minion attack. It's not going to kill, but I still think it's worth it. But the argument is, he supers here, he has to RC, so basically he's getting pressure, but it takes 100% meter to do so, and you have 50% meter still, you haven't used it, whereas before it's you punish her, you bring her to low health, but she has 50% meter and you have none. So it's a little bit of an argument. I would probably just super there, instead of having to deal with this pressure where if you get hit once, you're probably going to have to use your burst, and then you're not going to have it for the last round, and then you're probably just going to lose. But somehow he manages to get out, and now, you know, he's starting to pressure things. We finally see him do an overhead, so he finally does a little bit of a mix-up out of the pressure stuff. You know, he does the RC, gets a small combo. He tries to do it into minion super. It's like fine, but Jigo's really good at killing minions, so the minion H super is like a little greedy. I think S super is generally pretty good against Jigo. H super in neutral I don't like as much, but they both get 6 speed, and then yeah, he takes his burst. Now here you're gonna see this is so important, and it's something that, you know, a lot of maybe newer Jack-0s aren't going to have a good grasp on, and they're just gonna say like, you know, because when you're sort of newer and you're playing Jack-0, like no one knows what to do against Jack-0. You're just gonna get away with all this stuff, and then the first time you play someone who's like kind of knows the matchup even a little bit, and they're like anti-airing the minions, you're like, oh my god, what do I do, right? So if we watch here, Denpa anti-airs like 4 minions in a row or something, right? Right? So he does 6p on one, and then he does jump p on another, and then he tries to jump p another one, right? He's like, okay, he's gonna throw another minion at me, I'm gonna jump p it. But it's really important that you mix up how, in these sort of situations where just like a minion's gonna kill them, you have to mix up how you're gonna present minions to them, right? So minion throw is sort of the level 1, but then you can do things like what he did here with the minion kick, which is gonna send it at like a much different angle, it's gonna be faster. You can do jump kick to hit them, which is going to act a lot like the 2p, where it's going to be a very shallow angle, and it's going to make their anti-airs whiff, and you can whiff punish them for it, right? So he tries to do jump p, and just gets smoked by the minion. Yeah, this was kind of unfortunate, because he misses his combo and gets burst. This was a terrible burst, regardless, so if Denpa hadn't missed the combo, this would be bursting a 5k, which is jump cancelable, so it's like not good, right? So either way, this is like just a tournament nerves, like bad burst, like do not burst this. For some reason, this like blew my mind when I saw this, because I had never done this before. So usually it's like, you get this like 2k 2d minion hit, and the minion's gonna go over you, which is really annoying, because it takes them out of the corner. And I had never seen anyone do this 2s to keep them the same side before. So I thought that was really cool. I'm definitely gonna start doing that, because this is just a situation that comes up a lot, and it taking them out of the corner has been like a real thorn in my side, so... You know, doing the 2S into 2H, big recommend. You get a nice little combo off it too. We're straight into the corner. Yeah, that is a risky jump D. There's not much more to say about that. Against characters with DPs, and like Giovanna, it's like a half DP, but like for anti-air purposes, it's absolutely DP. You gotta be really careful about doing these JDs, because you will die. Right, and then he takes them all the way to the corner. It messes up his Oki. Somehow doesn't get hit by that super. I have no idea. I thought for sure he was dead there. Alright. So here's another situation. I think he goes for 2D here, which... This looks like 2D. It is, in fact, it's definitely 2D. Yeah. So 2D is basically always going to trade with the DP, which... I don't think is very good, right? So if he had done 2k here, or maybe 5h, it might have been a bit too far, but 5h would have at least traded. It's a slightly worse trade than 2d, because 2d knocks them down, 5h doesn't, or 5h is like a soft knockdown. But yeah, I think 2d after Sepultura is just not that good. I think it's just worse than 5h, worse than 2k in general. Those are the two options you want to be going for, in my opinion. And then, yeah, so to end the round, Kuzonoko has 100% meter. There's a lot of stuff he can be doing, but he just does, you know, this right here This is Jack-0 Brain. You never want to be on Jack-0 Brain. Jack-0 Brain is just hit 2D from across the screen. Against Geo, it's friggin' terrible. Don't do it. Jack-0's just gonna hit, or Geo's just gonna hit 2D. You're gonna get counter hit, and you're gonna die from full screen, right? Like, you got 100% meter, and you really threw away with that 2D. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff in this set. A lot of it makes me very hopeful for the character. I think that like I'm higher on her than a lot of Jack-0 players. I think a lot of Jack-0 players think she's really terrible. I don't feel that way. I mean, she's definitely on the lower end, don't get me wrong, but there's just a lot of stuff that Kuzonoko like didn't do right this set. A lot of things where like his corner pressure just wasn't very good. You know, he messed up in a lot of scenarios that should have been, you know, much better for him. So a lot of stuff to improve on, and I mean, you know, this was, I mean, he made top 8 the Jack-0, right? And he definitely could have gone further, cleaning up a few things. So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of the video, and see you next time.